He lied. He copied Red Harvest line for line at times, then claimed he was inspired by Glass Key. Another lie. Then he had the gall to sue Sergio Leone for a plot that he already stole. Read Red Harvest. It's quite plain.
Imagine being a conservative Christian YouTuber arguing with porn stars online about plagiarism. Hey, guys, listen straight. It's time for me, that guy you hate. It's Mr. Dinosaur Minute. Hello, I'm Mr. Dinosaur. I remember it. There's a popular rumor I've been seeing online, and it's just being repeated ad nauseum. The rumor is that Akira Kurosawa, the Japanese director, stole the plot of Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest when he made the movie Yojimbo. The reason this is a point of contention is because people don't believe he had any right to sue Italian director Sergio Leone for plagiarism. As a big Kurosawa fan, I decided to check this book out and see how much water this theory actually holds. You know what? I'm sorry, I just don't see it. Red Harvest is about a detective known as the Continental Op, being called to Personville, Poisonville if you're nasty, by one Donald Wilson. The Op arrives at Donald's house for a meeting and meets Donald's wife, who disappears for a short while and comes back to reveal that Donald has been killed. The Op sets out to solve Donald's murder, and during his investigation, he meets Donald's father Elihu and possible mistress Dinah Brand. The Op is sidetracked when Elihu asks him to clean up the town. Once the murder is solved, however, Elihu decides he doesn't want the town cleaned up after all. But the Op, who has been shot at numerous times by this point, decides that the town does need to be cleaned up. This is where the Yojimbo comparison begins. Elihu is a bootlegger, and he brought in 4 gangsters to help him run his business. These thugs are named Max, Whisper, Thaler, Reno Starkey, Lou Yard, and Pete the Finn. Another character in this mix is the corrupt police chief, Noonan. With the help of Dinah Brand, the Op slowly sets about turning these gangsters against one another. He does things like revealing boxing matches are rigged, and telling the chief of police that one of the gangsters killed his brother. Overall, though, he seems to be a more passive character, with Dinah Brand taking on the more active role of turning these gangsters against one another. But as things spiral out of control, the Op loses focus and just spends a lot of time with the femme fatale, Dinah Brand, while the gangsters and third parties just start knocking each other off. During a drunken evening, Dinah is murdered, and the Op looks to be the guilty party. He sets about to find out who killed Dinah, while the rest of the gangsters continue to knock each other off around him. The book wraps up with the Op using letters Elihu wrote Dinah Brand to blackmail him into bringing in the National Guard and replacing the police force. Everything wraps up in a nice little package. Well, nice enough anyway. The book is okay. I personally prefer the prose of someone like Chandler, but it's an okay first novel. Now, let's get into the first movie. Yojimbo is a movie about a Ronin named Sanjuro wandering Japan, as Ronin were wont to do, when he comes across a small town. In the town, he goes to the bar, which is located next to a casket maker. The barkeeper reveals that the town used to be run by one Yakuza, Seibi. But when he made his son his successor, Seibi's number 1, Ushitora, broke off and formed a rival gang with his 2 brothers. Instinctually, Sanjuro decides to make as much money as possible in this town. He kills 3 of Ushitora's men and offers his services to Seibi. However, Seibi's wife schemes to kill Sanjuro to get her money back, and he overhears this conversation, leading him to quit. Before Ushitora can have a chance to hire Sanjuro, a government official arrives in town and stays for several days. To get the official out of town, Ushitora hires assassins to kill another official in another town. Sanjuro learns of this plot from 2 assassins. He kills one of them and takes the other captive and turns them over to the custody of Seibi. Ushitora kidnaps Seibi's son and has the assassin killed during an agreed-upon trade. Seibi planned for this, however, and took captive Ushitora's mistress, Nue. Nue is the wife of a local farmer, and Ushitora's gang often torments the farmer and his son. This will be important later. Seibi and Ushitora make the exchange, and the knowledge of Nue has given Sanjuro a new approach to turn these gangs against one another. One night, Inokichi, Ushitora's dim-witted brother, is escorting Sanjuro to Nue's hiding place, and Sanjuro convinces Inokichi to give the farmer his daily beating. Sanjuro then tells Inokichi that Seibei's men killed all of the guards and to go get help. While Inokichi runs off to get help, Sanjuro kills the guards and frees Nue, her husband, and their child. Ushitora, now furious, unleashes a full-scale assault on Seibei. Unfortunately for Sanjuro, Ushitora's other brother, Unosuke, becomes suspicious of him. Now, if any part of this film feels like plagiarism, it is this scene. It is clearly inspired by the 1942 film The Glass Key. The lighting and the atmosphere feel the same across both scenes. Sanjuro is assaulted by Ushitora's men as Seibei is wiped out along with his family by burning his mansion, leaving one gang in control of the whole town. Sanjuro escapes in a casket to the graveyard to heal. When he learns that the owner of the tavern is taken captive, he returns to town. Sanjuro strikes down the brothers and then continues his journey across the Japanese landscape. I personally don't think that Kurosawa ripped off Red Harvest. Is it possible? Yeah. According to Abe Books, the first Japanese translation was in 1956, 4 years before Yojimbo. However, I don't see enough similarities between the two to say this is anything more than a coincidence. The 1942 film The Glass Key, on the other hand, is clear inspiration upon the scene where Sanjuro is captured. Now, where did this rumor even come from? Fistful of Dollars is a movie about a wandering gunslinger named Joe who comes upon a small town. He stops at a local tavern, which is located next to a casket maker. The innkeeper reveals there is a gang war going on between the three Rojo brothers and Sheriff Baxter, his wife, and son. Joe decides to make as much money as possible in this town. He kills 4 of Sheriff's men and offers his services to the Rojos. Much like Seibei's wife, the leader of the Rojos conspires with one of his brothers to kill Joe. Joe, who has been listening to their conversation, quits working for the Rojos. Before Sheriff Baxter can have a chance to hire Joe, a cavalry of Mexican troops arrive. The troops are gunned down outside of town by the third Rojo brother, Ramon. After witnessing the slaughter, Joe decides to set a trap for the Rojos and the Baxters. He says there are 2 troops that were left alive, and they are waiting in the cemetery. While the Baxters and the Rojos race for the cemetery, Joe uses this as an opportunity to find out what the Rojos stole from the Mexican troops. Spoiler, it was a crapload of gold. While sneaking about, Joe encounters Marisol, the wife of a local farmer and Ramon's mistress. He knocks her out and takes her to the inn run by the Baxters. The Baxters arrange to exchange Marisol for their son, who was taken captive during the cemetery raid. Now, what do you think happens next? Do you think Joe, A, leaves town, B, frees Marisol, or C, guns down all the gangsters? That's right, it's B! While the Rojos are celebrating, Joe kills the guards and frees Marisol to flee town with her husband and young son. Once the Rojos learn that Joe is the one who killed the guards and freed Marisol, they put him in a room to beat him up. The Rojos burn down the Baxters' hotel, and Only one gang is left to control the town. Joe escapes town in a coffin and hides in an abandoned mine to heal. He returns to town in the movie's most iconic scene. Joe kills the Rojos and leaves town. While it's clearly a remake of Yojimbo, I still love both films. I also think Fistful set up the introduction of the farmer's wife much better than Yojimbo did. In Fistful, she's introduced in a farmhouse on the way into town. In Yojimbo, she's only revealed during the trade-off scene. I think the ending of Fistful is also way more iconic than the end of Yojimbo.
Bulletproof vest! Great flick! Great friggin' flick!
But Mr. Dinosaur, I thought you hated movie remakes.
Kurt, get out of here! Yes, I hate remakes, but this one, along with Last Man Standing, do enough original stuff to separate themselves from Yojimbo. However, unlike Last Man Standing, Leone copied the homework and hoped that no one would notice. This is the cause for the lawsuit, and Leone tried really hard to convince people that he and Kurosawa ripped off the same book, Red Harvest, and the Italian play One Servant and Two Masters. Now, I can see more in common with the play than with Red Harvest. But this also goes to prove that one person stirring the pot to turn two groups against one another is not an original concept. The reason why Kurosawa had a lawsuit is because of the similar beats. A stranger comes into town and immediately goes to a bar, which is next to a casket maker, killing men to impress members of the opposing gang, the gang conspiring to kill the stranger, the trade-off scene, one of the brothers being a cunning warrior, the cunning warrior having a weapon he believes makes the stranger's weapon obsolete, in Yojimbo it's the revolver, and in Fistful the rifle. Freeing the farmer's wife being the impetus for the gang beating up the stranger escaping town in a coffin. If I saw all these same exact elements in Red Harvest, I would admit that it seems like a ripoff. But the only moment I recall reading that really felt like Yojimbo was the gangsters setting another gangster's hideout on fire and killing the people as they ran out. This is also not a concept original enough to point and say, look, he ripped it off! In the end, like I stated, I don't think the argument holds enough water. But I do think that Glass Key did play a major part in inspiring the film. Even though it's a ripoff, I still think Fistful of Dollars is a good film, and is possibly more accessible for young cinephiles to begin digging into older films than Yojimbo is. Well, that's all I have to say for today. Bye! You know what, Razorfist? You're an idiot. Jacking off in your bedroom while your parents watch Jeopardy.